Good morning, good evening, good night. Wherever you're watching this transmission, it is I, Mike Martins. Guys, welcome to another very special edition of Rants and Lifestyle. Today I want to talk about militarization of Northern Australia. Everybody knows what's happening in the South China Sea and that really narrow corridor where a lot of our commerce and trade gets traded through the South China Sea. Why do they name that sea the South China Sea? Why didn't they call it the Southern Asian Sea or the Northern Australian Sea or the East Timor Ocean or something? Because you name it the South China Sea, China thinks it's their ocean. And I don't know if it's that's what they're thinking, or like, I'm pretty sure if you had a part in Central America that was called China, they would honestly think it was part of their continent or something. I don't know what's going on. So we know what's going on with military takeovers when it comes to little Filipino islands and the pressure that's been with fishermen and fishing in the area, happening with Vietnamese sailors, happening with Vietnamese ships and stuff, and Cambodia, and what else you got? All kinds happening in that region, and it's a really hostile region because China right now is looking very hostile. They're in Hong Kong as we speak right now. Well, I don't know if China's Republic of China is in Hong Kong yet, but they are protesting this extradition thingy that China wants, basically to take people away from Hong Kong that commit Chinese crimes in Hong Kong, or what they deem as anyways, social credit scores, everything. It's just not looking good right now. So militarization of North Australia is a must to win a war against China. Yeah, but this is the Royal Australian Air Force here. I guess they're arming up here. It looks like the north part of Australia here. You got Darwin. I'm not sure where that. I know that's Darwin. I'm not sure what that is up there. Sherburger, and Learmonth. I could barely see the writing on there, but it says, expanding on our June report that outlined Australia is constructing a new naval port on its northern coast to counter a rising China in the Indo-Pacific region. Australian Defence Minister Linda Reynolds said the government recognized the vital importance of militarizing Northern Australia for national security purposes. Okay, over $8 billion will be invested in defense infrastructure in the Northern Territory alone. Northern Australia is key to Australian international engagement in support of our strategic partnerships. Here you go, guys. Here you go. So that's what's happening right there. So this is so you got public service, okay? You got Navy, Air Force, and Army. So they break it down in these graphs here, going up to 2018, okay, in this image. Let me see if this image opens. There we go. So take a gander at that. All right, how do you go back? This comes at a time when Washington and its strategic allies are falling into Thucydides' trap, referring to China, the rising power, challenging the U.S., the status quo, could one day lead to a shooting war somewhere in a heavily contested South China Sea and Western Pacific waters. See, normally they don't. A lot of these big countries are always fighting in their wars in other countries. With Syria and Iraq and all other countries, they're fighting their wars there, right? Senator Reynolds said Australia had been warned it must militarize its northern borders amid threats of Chinese expansion in the Indo-Pacific region and prepare for the U.S. losing its military primacy in the area. The Australian, I think it was an American base in Australia, I guess shut down or something. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute, ASPI, and the United States Study Center expected to sound the alarm Monday on the lack of troops and military hardware in Northern Australia and the need to increase weapon stockpiles and fuel reserves. The API's report requests that the government to stress test defense, intelligence, and border security agencies in the north against sudden threats. APSI suggests troop deployment in the north is at decades low, calls for a single scalable defense and national security ecosystem. So you got to remember, Northern Australia, there's a lot of territory to cover. I mean, I don't know how many miles. There's Darwin right there. So Darwin would have to be the most heavily, I guess would have to be the most heavily defended area. Strategically, I don't think they would come to Darwin. I think they'd go around, in my opinion, and go through the middle. Or I think they would go to the east of Australia and head south, facing from the north, going this way, and going to the bigger cities. I don't know, like, military strategy when it comes to proper takeovers, but right now Hong Kong is in threat. We've been talking about here, and also Taiwan is basically watching the Chinese hostile takeover of the Chinese law passing or saber rattling in Hong Kong. So it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge problem. So even for Taiwan, if China does the same and starts parking their boats outside Taiwan, then we got ourselves a massive problem. So China right now, this is what it says: warships 714, tanks 9150. The problem is those tanks could be completely rendered useless if they have no way to offload them. That's the problem. So those tanks could only be used probably just in the mainland, and for them to offload those tanks, I don't know if they do have the capacity to transport. So aircrafts 2,900, soldiers 2.3 million, and nukes 260. So that's what China's sitting on. All right. United States of America, 473 warships. Tanks, 8,000. Aircraft, 13,000. Wow. That dwarfs China's 2,900. Wow. So if you want a dogfight with America, you won't last much. You won't last too long. Soldiers, 1.4 million, a million less than China. And nukes, 6,970. And how many nukes does it take to end the world? 11? 12? 15? To 6,970. So these disputed islands, they've been going on for years now, guys. You know what? China's been making these islands of war. They've been converting these islands and stealing sand from Mozambique. I know. I have ties in Mozambique, Africa, Southeast Africa, and they told me, Mike, they're stealing dirt from us and shipping it away. Okay? Senator Reynolds said about 13,000 Australian Defence Forces ADF troops are stationed in the north, and thousands more participate in operations and training scenarios across the north annually. We host over 2,500 U.S. Marines, Air Force members in Darwin yearly, providing security benefits for Australia and the United States by deepening our interoperability and enhancing capabilities through increased combined training and exercises, stepping up our engagement with regional countries and a better position with both nations to respond to crisis in the region, she said. The U.S. Studies Center is also expected to release its report on Monday, stating that Washington no longer enjoys military primacy in the Indo-Pacific, and that its ability to uphold favorable balance of power is increasingly uncertain. That's not good. The reshifting of focus in Northern Australia and the Indo-Pacific region comes as China is attempting to become a dominating power in the area. Both reports stress that Australia needs to fund military infrastructure projects across the north to combat a rising China. The ADF operates army bases in Darwin and Townsville, and Royal Australian Air Force RAAF operates stations in Darwin, Catherine, Townsville, and the Royal Australian Navy RAN operates naval ports Trinity Bay and Darwin. John Connew, author of the ASPI's report Strong and Free, indicates that Northern Australia is becoming an ADF's forward operating base, or its lily pad to another forward position within the Pacific or the first or second island chain. There's a need for rectilinearized Northern Australia, defined as those areas north of the 26-degree south parallel, as a single scalable defense and national security ecosystem. Wow, there's a lot of enemies that China is creating here, especially with these Spartley Islands, Parcel Islands. We know what's going on. It's like, why do they call it the South China? Why didn't they just call it the Filipino Ocean, or the Taiwanese Strait, or the Vietnamese Bay, or anything but the South China Sea? Kain said the forward operating base will allow the ADF to be in state of readiness to support a range of defense contingencies with little advance warning. The U.S. Study Center report offers 9 suggestions to respond to the rising China that it is threatening the U.S. supremacy in the Indo-Pacific region. It states that the readiness of U.S. forces have been eroded after 2 decades of near continuous combat and budget instability. What are we talking about? The Middle East. The ongoing biblical Middle East wars that have been going on for so long right now. Woo! All right. Writing in the Australian Today, Alan DuPont, Chief Executive Geopolitical Risk Consistency, the Congisetti Group, and member of the Northern Territory Strategic Defense Advisory Board, says serious threats are emerging with disconcerting rapidity. So things are moving fast, guys. The U.S. and its allies are preparing for war with China. Northern Australia could become a lily pad for coalition forces used to attack Chinese militarized islands in the South China Sea. So the odds are, I've been poking around, the odds of China or a conflict with China directly against Australia is only 11%. The odds of China with the conflict in the South China Sea with the Philippines, and I think it was Vietnam, is close to 52%. Indonesia is a lot less. It's like 21%. So Malaysia, I think, Vietnam is really high, higher threat level. Australia is less than 15% of a threat level from a direct Chinese invasion. But yeah, the United States does have it's a war. We are at war. That's all it is, guys. War. And Australia will be a forwarding area, definitely. It's within range for some of its planes. I think they're going to have to. If I was the United States, because they are allies with the Philippines, I would just put maybe the northern Philippine. I think there already is a American military base in the north. Yeah. I think there is. I have to ask my wife. She's in the Philippines. She'll tell me. I'm not sure, but I think I think the United States does have a few naval bases too in Taiwan. I think they have. I don't think it's naval bases, but they have huge Taiwanese influence now for many years. So, yeah, and I think Japan is kind of upset too with China. So, it's going to be very interesting with these hostilities and where things are going to head. I think when there is a massive economic breakdown in China, I think we're going to see, once there's an economic breakdown, once the economy falls, I think then we'll start seeing military action. That's what sparked a lot of countries to go into World War II, because of their economic struggles, right? And that's what pulled us out of, lost a lot of Western countries out of the Great Depression. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I would like to know what you guys think. And yeah, if you're in Northern Australia, comment below. Let me know. Let us know. How militarized is it? How is it? How's the Marine Corps up there? Do you see ships on the bay? Do you see other countries doing exercises in your waters? Let me know. Comment below. Thanks for watching.